In 2025, Emily Audibert was pregnant, living in a small cottage with 2 toddlers while her house was being renovated. She still billed $1.29 million that year.
So I wasn't actually living at my house for 6 months. I was living in like a 750 square foot cottage with my 2 little boys and my 70-pound dog and my husband, and I was pregnant.
Welcome to the Resilient Recruiter Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Whitby. My guest, Emily, is the founder of EA Associates, specializing in go-to-market roles. Emily is one of our coaching clients, and 2025 was her breakthrough year.
I didn't have my own voice. And once I leaned into being honestly more feminine and softer in myself, then everything started to click into place. And
she'd hit 800K the year before, but she knew she was capable of more. The turning point was firing a difficult RPO client.
I need to fire that client. And that was actually one of the takeaways from your conference. I'm going home and I'm firing them, which I did. And thank God I did. We're easily $1 million company. We just had bad clients.
In this conversation, you'll hear why the wrong client will drain you and how to tell before you waste a lot of time on dead-end searches.
I've got 3 kids. I still have a workout schedule. I have to end the day at a certain time, and we still hit really big goals. That's the beauty about recruiting. If you're starting out or anything, is you can make it what you want. Don't be afraid to be oh, this isn't conventional, but I want to do it anyways, right?
Emily explains how she increased her billings by 50% by structuring her business around what she does best, supported by the right people and processes, and how she runs $1 million desk while still being at home for her kids by 4:30 p.m. every afternoon. All right, Emily, so good to see you.
I'm so excited to be here, Mark. Thank you.
Yeah, we were supposed to do this months ago, but then of course, your 3rd child came along, so
yes, she did.
That put everything on pause. Eloise, right?
Yes, it's Eloise. Oh. Yeah. She's very cute.
How old's Eloise now?
She's 4 months. Oh. 4 months and a week or so. But she looks so big. Everyone was commenting on it yesterday. I was I can't believe how big she looks.
So you have 3 under 5 now, or 3 5 and under?
Yeah, 5, 2, and 4 months. That's our layout. We might go for more. Might go for a 4th. We're kind of crazy. TBD. Who knows?
And so we had ours similar gap between. There's kind of 2 and a bit years between each one, and we've got 3 as well. And it is it just is chaos.
Yeah.
You seem so calm. How are you?
No, I almost missed kindergarten orientation this week. So it was one of my cousins was oh, you guys, me and my sister, she was you guys have your stuff together. I'm I don't. I actually almost missed my kids' kindergarten orientation this week. So it's just a lot of chaos behind the scenes that no one sees, every other parent, right? Everyone is just figuring it out and just surface level is I'm cool. It's fine. It's be fine.
You're right about figuring it out for sure. So that's a huge achievement this year, is expanding your family. And congratulations on getting into Pinnacle.
Yes. Yeah. So I went to the meeting in April. So Eloise actually was 3 months, and I actually brought her because.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Cause I think I got the note about coming on this podcast, and I was I wish I could, but I just couldn't do it because we were just moved into our house. We just renovated. She was kept getting born, and I was it's just too much. And then I said yes to Pinnacle in October of coming in April. And I was yeah, I'll be fine. It'll be great. It'll be fine. And then I have Eloise, and I was what was I thinking? How did I think I could leave my 3-month-old at home with my husband and our 2 other kids? It's just not possible. So luckily one of our daycare teachers is our babysitter. So I quickly texted her. I was hey, you want to come to Florida with me?
Oh, really? Oh, that's a cool idea.
Yeah. So she just stayed in the room. So it was just I was there to nurse her at night and all of that fun stuff. So it worked out really well. And Riley loved it. She's amazing. So I brought my baby to my Pinnacle conference.
Amazing. Wow. So
Talk about figuring it out and making shit happen, right?
Right. That must be a Pinnacle first. How was your first conference?
It was good. So that was the one where we were gonna like get in or not. So it was like so it was like essentially a big in-person interview the whole time, because you want to meet as many people in the organization as possible, and just see if it's like a culture fit, really. Yes. Right. And also to talk about what you've done. And I think a big thing about Pinnacle, and I didn't really understand it until I went, is giving back. So it's not only about like take, but it's like, what can I give? Whether that's my experience, whether that is whatever, something I'm good at. And I didn't understand it till I went there. So you really are giving a lot when you're there. It's like, hey, this is what I've learned. Hey, this is my experience, all of that kind of fun stuff. So that I didn't really understand it until I went, and I was like, oh, these are incredible people who are at the very top of their game, right? They're just sharing what that happened to them this week or this month, or a problem they're trying to get through. So there was a lot of that conversation, which when you're on your own, right? And I'm like the only person that does I'm a full desk recruiter. I own the business. So I don't really have somebody else to talk to or to ask questions to. So to have that like group of people in that community was amazing. And I'm really excited about it.
Oh, fantastic.
Because I got in. I officially got in.
Absolutely. So, I mean, did you really worry that you might not, or you like?
You never know, because you just don't know, right? Going into it. You don't want to take
it for granted, for sure.
You don't want
to
take it for granted. Yeah. It's like any final interview, right? If you're a candidate and you're going to your final interview, be like, this is not a shoo-in. You still have to show up.
Right.
You still have to prepare. Yeah. And that's how I was approaching it. At times I was like, am I rushing a sorority? And I was like, no, Emily, you're a recruiter. This is a big final interview and you just want to put your best foot forward. So
great mindset. Definitely. So we are big fans of the Pinnacle Society, and we've had many of their members on the show. Like probably 30 or 40, I figure.
Wow.
Like maybe half. I don't know. I need to check on that, because it is such a high level group of people, right? And so the two things are, number one, high performing, but number two, also willing to share and help other people and be generous with their knowledge. So that kind of makes a perfect podcast guest, right? Because that's exactly the profile that I'm looking for, right?
Right.
So you've had just an absolute tremendous year. Do you want to tell me about, before Eloise came along? Tell me about the business success.
Yeah, absolutely. So 2025 was a really cool year for us. And what's interesting about it, Mark, is that's when you came into the story, right? Into the EA Associates timeline. So in 2020, because this is 26, in 2024, I had a big RPO and I had a big client that really ran us into we ran circles around it, and it wasn't as productive as we wanted. So going into 2025, I was like, I am so upset because I had this. You just saw the lost revenue and all the lost time. And I was really bummed. My mom's like, you got to go to Mark's conference. Like, you got to go to it. And I went to your conference in February of 25 thinking like, we had billed 800K. But I'm like, the way I worked and like the way that we're able to get our processes together and like the speed that we're able to find candidates, I'm like, we're easily $1 million company. We just had bad clients. And I knew that, but I didn't want to like face it yet because so much time and money was lost. So I went to your conference and it was amazing. I met Mike Williams and a bunch of other incredible recruiters there. And really was like, okay, I need to fire that client. And that was actually one of the takeaways from your conference. I'm like, I'm going home and I'm firing them, which I did. And thank God I did. But also just seeing like other recruiters and like getting out of my shell. But going into 2025, I kind of had a chip on my shoulder because I'm like, I am working way too hard. And like, I know I'm $1 million biller and we're not there yet. And becoming $1 million biller had been a goal of mine since I started recruiting. So I started at Hobson Associates, and ton of Pinnacle members there, right? And I was able to watch the partners who were incredible at their craft, and they were like 500, 600, and they were getting close to the million. And then after I left, I knew a couple of them had hit it. So I was like, if I'm going to be the best, I'm going to be $1 million biller. So we'd been building our desk around that. But once I went to your conference, I realized I was just a really good recruiter that had a lot of help, rather than having like a business with true processes and better technology to really get us to that next level. And we obviously got on your calls, did all the training, and we quickly went from like, Amanda started implementing a lot of the processes on the recruiting end. And we were already really good at recruiting, but it made us so much better and it made us so much faster. So we did that first. And then we fell into a really big contract, and a great contract, in April. And it totally was half of our revenue last year. But and we ended up billing for the year was like 1.3 or 1.29. So 1,290,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a great year. And we had only gotten to like 750, I think 8 as our top before that. So a big change, and just under half of that revenue came from that big contract. But what was exciting about that for me is we still had, like, let's say 52%, right? It was something like that. 53% was from other contingent work that we were doing. So what I was happy to see, I was like, okay, so it's not like this one contract is what got us there. We billed just as much, if not just a little bit less than our normal, on other contracts in addition to this massive one. So we just like took off, right? It was a really exciting year. We put all these systems into play. So it was just like, and then I got the call from Pinnacle. So it was like one of those years, 2025, I'll always remember as like some of my really big goals. And I also personally, we were rebuilding our house, right? So I wasn't actually living at my house for 6 months. I was living in like a 750 square foot cottage with my 2 little boys and my 70-pound dog and my husband, and I was pregnant. And then so when I was 9 months pregnant, like 8.5 months pregnant, we moved back into our house right before the baby was born. And then I had a girl. So it was I'll never forget 2025. It was one of those years of just being like, wow, like a lot of cool things happened. So yeah, very long way of going about it, but it was like both professionally and personally a big year.
I love that. So yeah, and I'm thrilled for you, and but you're still super young. Like, this is not like the peak of your career or anything. This is still the beginning of this journey, right? So
yeah,
there's I can't wait to see what you do next. So first of all, shout out to Gail Audibert, Emily's
OG.
mom, because she is the OG. So I'm grateful to her for introducing us.
Uh-huh.
And Gail's been so good to me. Like, I can't express how grateful I am. She's just really been such a supporter and advocate. And she means a lot to me.
You deserve every accolade that she gives. Truly, Mark. The way that you're able to truly, like, very nicely show people like, hey, this is the way to like get to being a better company. Because sometimes you can be on trainings and you just feel less than, right? And you're like, oh, why don't I have my stuff together? And you never walk away from any of your stuff feeling that way. And it's more empowered and like, I'm going to have help. And you deserve every positive encouragement you get from her and everybody that works with you.
Oh, that's so kind. Thanks, Emily. Appreciate it. So take me back to the beginning. How did you get into recruiting? By the way, just to let people know, we're going to talk about RPOs. We're going to talk about how you put together a 1.29 million year.
Mm-hmm.
But your story is fun as well, like how you got into this.
Yeah, it is fun. So I'll take you way back because I went to school for accounting, finance, entrepreneurial studies. So I was a triple major. And I went into accounting because I followed my dad. He was an accountant, financial CFO for years. And then the entrepreneurial side was like my mom. So followed my dad, and I was absolutely terrible at accounting. Like, could not figure it out. Like, I took and failed the CPA exam 5 times. The same one. So anyone who's out there who knows accounting, I took one test 5 times and failed. So, and after the 5th one, I'm like, this has got to be a sign. This is not for me. So, so I moved into sales at that.
I love how you didn't give up right away. Like, you tried and tried and tried. That is so Emily.
My head into the wall, tried, beat myself to a pulp. And then finally I'm like, it was like one of those surrenders. I'm like, this is clearly not working. So I started talking to people at the company. I moved into sales because I was like, fun fact, I was Miss Connecticut, part of the Miss America organization years back. So I remember loving like talking to people, working with people, sponsors, everybody that was involved. So I'm like, I like talking to people. Let me see what I can do. They moved me into sales. And then like 3 months in, new CEO, new CRO, last in, first out. Like, right, absolute classic. So I was so distraught by it. But I started talking to recruiters about sales jobs because I was like, I want to be in sales. I like talking to people. And recruiters, every recruiter I talked to tried to recruit me to be a recruiter. And
surprise.
Yeah, I didn't think anything of it. And I said to my mom, like, I don't know, this sounds kind of cool. And meanwhile, my mom owns her own recruiting business, had for 30 years. And I never talked to her about this, right? It was other recruiters who introduced the idea of even being a recruiter.
So how is it that your mom being an icon in the recruitment industry, you never sort of already thought, hey, maybe I could be good at that too?
Well, I think that my parents both did this, which I actually like and I liked as a kid, is we never talked about their jobs. The one thing I knew about my mom is that she was always there and she was always present when I needed her. She went to every event. She picked us up early on Fridays. So this is actually part of my story, is that I wanted to be the mom she was to me. And I didn't know what that was. I just knew she was an entrepreneur, which is why I got an entrepreneurial major, right? But I really didn't know she was an icon. I just knew she owned her own business. And my dad too, I'm like, he's a CFO. And I don't know what that entails because they always made it about us as kids.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I loved that. And I actually, it just made you feel really special and seen all the time. So once I started talking to recruiters about being a recruiter, I was like, hey, Mom, I think I'm into this. She's like, if you're going to do this, you got to go to Danny Cahill. And she and Danny had known each other from the industry. She was like, I'll just make an email intro and then you can take it from there. So she's like, made the email intro. They brought me in. They gave me like the peak test, which was like basically like, would you be any good at this job? And then you came in and I watched people on the phone like 2 days or something. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I was terrible at first, like so bad. God bless Danny and Joanne for like dealing with me that first year. And I don't know why, right? Like, most people make their first placement in 3 months, right? And you're on a ticking clock and then you're going to get kicked out. They kept me for 6 before I made my first one. And that was a rough go. But I think what they saw in me is that I had the activity, right? I made more calls. I had more phone time. I had more emails, outreach than anybody. And I was eating up Danny's training. So at the time I lived home. So I asked Joanne for his CDs because I had a CD player in my car. And I would listen to Danny's trainings on the way to and from work, or if I was on the treadmill walking, just to try to like understand these rebuttals and what I had to do. So I think they saw the effort that was there, because I surpassed everybody, like everybody. Jeff always had more phone time than me, and me and Larry were like head in head for like who made more calls that day, right? But they saw the activity, so they kept me on. And then year 1, my first full year, I only billed like $80K. it was like, and I think half of those were splits. Cause I worked under Larry Botel, who's another Pinnacle member, and he was a partner there. And then year 2, it like went up to, I'm pretty sure it was like 390 or something like the next year. So
wow,
it was
that's
like
a big jump.
Massive jump. Yeah. And this full second year of billings, I was like, I think I was like I can't remember exactly, so they'll have to fact check me, but I was like number 4 or 5 in the company. And all the, the major partners were ahead of me, and then I was like right there. So, huge shift from year 1 to year 2. And then, I'd worked there for a while and eventually went off on my own, but that's the beginning of Emily's story.
Absolutely. So how cool is it to actually get trained by Danny Cahill in person, like in his, office? Because, most people listening will know who Danny is because he's probably the most famous trainer in our industry and speaker and everything. And you're actually working for him. And so like you're listening to the CDs in the car, but then also he's right there in the office. So that's a pretty awesome, like, training opportunity. Some firms, you don't even get training. It's like, okay, Emily, desk phone, go and make, placements. And you have like the guru of training right there. So that's cool. By the way, they made the right decision, obviously, to let you keep going for longer. But I think here's why. You nailed it when you talked about effort and activity. So if someone isn't billing quite like hitting the milestones that you're expecting them to, if they're like a rookie recruiter or even, a new recruiter joining your firm, but they have the right attitude and they have the right effort level, then that's the part that really counts, right? Because the skill, the market knowledge, all that stuff does take time.
Oh yeah.
But
sure.
what do you think, what was it that clicked for you? Like obviously going from 80 in year 1 to 390 in year 2, what made the biggest difference to that shift?
Great question. So I think that I got really good habits. And I was there for, it was the first full year. I had really good habits. So I built really great habits year 1, like you said, the activity level and just the effort that I constantly was putting in. And I think a little bit of that also came from being fired before. Like I've always been a hard worker. Don't get me wrong. Like great grades, like always that went to the teacher for help. Like I've never had an issue asking for help and saying, I don't know what to do here. But I've also never had an issue with trying hard. But within hey, you have to get uncomfortable and pick up the phone at all of the time. Like that was a habit I got into. But I think so I think that's absolutely a test to it. And then secondly I was listening to all of Danny's trainings and rebuttals because it just felt robotic. I actually had someone I talked to once, and she actually said on the phone, and I brought this because we had lunch and learns, and we'd bring a recording of ourselves to listen for everyone to listen to and then critique. And I always brought bad ones. I was so mad when people brought good ones. So this person literally said to me, "Is this a robot?" And that's because like, I'm sorry, is this a robot? I was like, and I started laughing out loud and I was like, no, I'm sorry. Like this is, and I just like started over and she gave me a referral by the end of the call. But like, I was like, what can I do in the beginning to like change that? Right. That's why I brought it to lunch and learn. But I had my rebuttals and like navigating those conversations was really like, it wasn't easy for me. So when I listened to Danny nonstop, I was like, okay, so I was able to kind of get down what I had to say. And then I finally put it into my voice. So the reason why I think it sounded robotic is because I was just regurgitating what they had said and not really processing like, what am I supposed to be getting out of this conversation in this call? And let me just make it me. Like, I'm not Larry. I'm not Jeff. I'm not Danny. And nor should I be, right? I'm a 100%. Very bubbly person. I'm very like woo-woo emotional and I'm like softer. And what I notice is like, you don't have to be hard. You can lean into that softer approach and it's going to really resonate well with people because it just resonates well with you, right? You think about like flow, like get into flow and then you're just going to move mountains, right? And go forward so much faster. And I wasn't getting into flow because I didn't have one, right? I didn't have my own voice. And once I leaned into being like, honestly, more feminine and softer in myself, then everything started to click into place. But I think that's a combination. One, good habits. Two, I knew what to say, right? I finally understood, like, what should I be saying in this conversation? What am I getting out of this call? And then I made it me. And I really leaned into my own way and old style of doing it. And I think those are the three things. If you're a rookie or you're earlier in your career, that's what finally got me there.
Here's one of the biggest reasons to join us at the Recruitment Coach Live Summit in Dallas this September: connection. This is your opportunity to connect with like-minded business owners from across the US and around the world. There'll be people flying in from the UK, from Canada, from all over the States, million-dollar billers, multi-million-dollar business owners, people at every stage of building their recruitment business. What they all have in common is their commitment to growing and getting better. And what's unusual is they're genuinely willing to share what's working. A lot of recruiters are quite secretive about what they're doing. I know when I was coming up as a recruiter, we were taught like the competition is the enemy, right? But this group has an abundance mindset. One of our clients and attendees, Elaine Petticord from Banyan Search, put it perfectly.
For me personally, it's really related to the people and just being able to share that knowledge. This is such a great forum to share knowledge versus being competitive, which recruiters can be. It's very, it's got a very generous spirit of sharing knowledge and making everybody better than they would be by themselves.
That's exactly what you'll find in Dallas on September 9th and 10th. To learn more and to register, visit recruitmentcoach.com/summit. I love that. So 3 things I took away there were installing the right habits. Number 2 is internalizing what to say. But then number 3 is actually putting it into your own voice and making it, really owning it.
Exactly.
So can you give me an example, Emily, of what you mean by like a softer approach to something?
Yeah, absolutely. So something that's simple as like getting a resume before the call, right? And like we were like, and this was when I was doing it, people did try to go around recruiters a lot at the time. I actually almost never get that. Once in a while I do. And then I tell them like, hey, just so you know, like that now I can't get credit and I can't help you, but just so you know for the future, right? And I don't yell at them. I don't say anything. And they're normally like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I had no idea. But when I first started recruiting, it felt like you had to be very guarded, right? And you had to be like almost like protective of yourself all of the time because it felt like everyone was out to get you, essentially. And I kind of let go of that belief and that thought. So I was like, hey, if you can, shoot over a copy of your resume before. If not, no worries. We could talk about it after. No problem. And that was like, I think probably the first thing that's like what comes into my mind, because before that, like you needed a resume for that call, but they're not even bought into the opportunity yet. They don't even know what they're talking about. So why would you mandate a resume if they don't know about it? And I'm like, you know what? They'll give it to me after, and that's okay. And then I'll also say, like when it comes to like closing a deal or getting a candidate interested, I'm like, listen, I want to give you everything you need to make your decision. I'm not going to say whether that's a good or bad. I just want to give you all of the tools and details you need, because at the end of the day, this is about you and your job and your career. And I just want to be the facilitator in that. So really taking off that pressure of like, you don't have to appease me. You might like me, but I want you to tell me the truth, right? Do you not like it? And that's okay. You don't have to like this opportunity. We can just stay in touch and I'll call you about stuff in the future. And I just never like heard that approach, and I mean, I was in a rookie bullpen, right? So it's all rookies like trying to figure it out. But that felt good for me because I was able to, and I actually said this in Ben Mina's podcast, I was able to take my hands off the wheel of being like, you know what? It's okay. And that felt good for me. So again, if you think about what's the flow state and it, once you get there, things really start to happen. That was something that felt really good in flow for me personally.
That's powerful, Emily, because really you can't, if you're going against your natural, either your values or your style, right, or your beliefs and the way that you are, it's not going to work, is it? Nothing's going to work if you're forcing it, right? And so you mentioned flow a couple of times. So I guess the opposite of flow is like you're forcing something and it feels stilted. It does not, like there's a lot of friction, a lot of effort, and that might be internal friction, right? Something's just doesn't feel, it's just something's off. Do you have a method for getting into flow? Like, how do you, because I'm sure we would all love to be in flow more often.
Yeah.
And by the way, have you read that book about flow?
No, I'm like send it to me because I love it. I love like self-help professional development.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing when I was working at Danny's, I think the second year working there, I moved to Norwalk. So not anyone in Connecticut. It was an hour away. And it's on 95 and the traffic was a lot. Yeah. So during those commutes, once I finally felt like, okay, I know how to do recruiting. I don't need to listen to Danny's things anymore. I listened to professional help and like self-development books constantly to keep that motivation and it going, right? So I haven't listened to it, so definitely send it. But I got a lot of tactics from that, and I've tried everything in the book, right? As a mom of 3, it's a little different than when I was single and in an apartment. But when I was first starting out, I did a lot. Like, I'm a yogi, so I'm actually yoga certified. I love working out. So a lot of those things I personally needed as like resets. So at the end of a bad day, I'd go take a yoga class, right? Or every day at lunch I would walk because I didn't have like there weren't walking pads at the time. Now I just go on my walking pad. But I needed to like physically get rid of that energy, right? Of that negative energy, or needed that daily reset. I needed the vitamin D in the workout, and I eat really healthy. Now that sounds silly, but
nope,
I think that actually is foundational into getting into flow, because it really starts in like your core first. Like, do I feel good, right? And some of my basics and values of feeling good are eating healthy and moving my body. So I always started foundationally there. And even my husband knows, like on bad days, like he's like, you know what, you need the gym this morning. You can take because we alternate days. Like, you could take my day today.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And then the other things I would do was I always had a goal list. So I'm like, these are my top 10 goals. And I would, when I was first starting out, I would write those down every single day. And one of them was be a Pinnacle member, be $1 million biller, be on a podcast, like things like this that are happening. I really wrote down every day for years. Now, anybody listening, this is like year 7 or 8 on my own. I think I'm almost year 10 in recruiting. So it took 10 years of writing this goal and like figuring it out to get there. So I would write my goals. I'd have gratitude lists. I'd have mantras that I would say to myself. And a lot of that is to calm myself down. And a lot of those habits have stuck. So if I find that I'm like kind of in a funk, I'll go back to that. I'm like, I need some gratitude in my life. I'm just being too negative, right? Or, you know what? I need a mantra that I can really like hold on to and see like where it takes me. Like last year's mantra was like, let's see what we can do. And that was it. Because I love that. That was it. That was my mantra. Yeah. Let's see what we can do. And I wrote it down every single day because I didn't want to give myself the pressure of you have to get $1 million. You have to bill it. But I was just like, it's okay. Like, just see what you can do and just keep pushing the needle a little bit. So I did all of that. And then I will say, because obviously I'm coming back from a mat leave, so it was a little slower, definitely building momentum. But one thing in the moment that I am right now, it is another thing that I think helps you kind of like let go, is if you have enough going on. Right. If you have one job you're working and you have one good candidate, you're going to be really stressed because you need that to work. So how can you relieve that stress? Go get another job. Go get 7 more jobs, right? Go find a buttload more candidates. Don't focus on the one, but relieve that tension and that pressure, diversify your portfolio. And naturally, they're all going to be, it's not going to be as stressful, right? Because you're like, well, I got a backup and I got a backup for my backup. So like, I'll do that today because I'll find that I'll get stressed today. And I'm like, I don't have enough people in my job, right? Or I don't have enough jobs on my desk for my comfort level today. But if it's the negativity and I'm like, I just need a reset, I get outside, I get to my gratitude journal. all of that really has helped me.
You mentioned like foundational, certain things you do that are foundational for you, and a lot of them have to do with self-care. So like eating well, going to the gym, doing your yoga, walking, getting outside, all these things, listening to, personal development, content, journaling, gratitude practice, right? Setting goals. This is all stuff that is actually building your emotional and physical, like your well-being. And that gives you some reserves that you can draw down on, because then when things don't go well, placement falls through, candidate accepts a counteroffer, someone hangs up on you, or you're having one of those bad days. If you have enough, like, if your battery has been charged up, let's say, then that kind of stuff, obviously it still sucks,
stinks.
but
yeah,
but it doesn't kind of absolutely destroy you, right? And you can bounce back so much faster.
Yeah.
Whereas if you let yourself go for too long without doing that kind of stuff, then like you're not in a good headspace, you're not emotionally strong, and then you get one of those knocks and it really like it's a much bigger deal. So I think what you're doing it makes total sense. By the way, I've just started doing a men's beginner yoga class.
Oh,
so it's been, it's harder than I thought it was going to be, man.
Yeah, it's very, especially if you're new.
Yeah, I'm starting to, and a lot of the guys are about my age in this class. So like we're all like groaning and like, oh, that's like, exactly. Yeah. So it's pretty funny. But by the way, the book, if you wanted to look it up, or if anyone else wants to look it up, it's called Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience. And the author is, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this. Mihaly. I'll just put it in the show notes because I'm gonna butcher the last name. So, but I think there's something to that. And the idea, I listened to this guy being interviewed on a podcast, and it's essentially like when you're in that zone, like it's the same as like the zone of performance, right? You're in the zone, and it could be like in your work, in your business, or it could be in your like some other pursuit, like yoga, but where you're getting challenged enough that it's like engaging and it really fully absorbs you, but also you do have the competence to do it. So like you're not completely out of your depth and like with this huge learning curve and you're overwhelmed and you're struggling, right? So it's that perfect balance of the competence and the level that you have that you're bringing, but also the challenge. So it's not too easy, because if it's too easy, then you're disengaged.
Right.
And if it's too hard, then you're like overwhelmed and your brain is freaking out. So it's just trying to like, but there still has to be challenge. Otherwise you're not going to like get unleash your full performance, if that makes sense. So,
and I feel like another part of that, or at least that I find that helps me get into flow, is like the realness of it, of just being like, that was bad. And then just like moving on and just like saying it out loud, or be like, you know what, you should fact check me on that. I'm not 100% sure. Or I'll like say words weird. I'm like, that is not a word, but we're going to just go with it. And like, I think if you bring kind of that like realness and levity to it, it makes it easier, because when you're trying that challenging thing or that thing that's a little bit out of your comfort zone, everyone gives you a pass, right? They're like, it's all right, I make up words. Maybe they don't, and they're really smart, but they think it's funny, right? Like, I think that realness makes it a little bit less scary to get out of your comfort zone and try something a little level above what you normally do.
I love that. That's cool how you bring that realness and that levity to it. I used to teach one of my first, like this is years ago, I used to go into recruitment businesses and I would teach people how to do cold calling. It's like, 70% is mindset, right? And then there's obviously technique and, what to say and how to, what questions to ask, all that stuff. But just getting yourself to do something that's uncomfortable and that's hard, and like facing the fear of, rejection or talking to strangers, that's like the biggest part of it. So I think I came up with this. You guys fact check me if you've heard this before. Maybe, when you've read so many books, you
Yes.
don't remember where an idea came from.
Yeah.
And I think this one's mine. But again, if I'm taking credit for someone else's idea, then you can let me know on LinkedIn. So it's called the Fonz technique. You're probably too young, but do you know who the Fonz is?
No.
No. All right. Okay. So it's a show. There was a show called Happy Days on when I was growing up.
I remember the name.
Okay.
But that's it.
And it was set in the 60s, like
Mhm.
50s, maybe 50s, 60s. And there was this character who was really cool called the Fonz, and he wore a leather jacket and he rode a motorbike. And he would do thumbs up, and he had this expression. He'd just go, eh, like no matter what happened, if something good happened, if something terrible happened, it almost didn't, like, no matter what, that was his reaction to everything. And so the concept was that if you have a bad call, then to like get yourself out of it and not like carry that negative energy into the next call, you just need to go like this and like with thumbs up. And it feels really silly. And but that's kind of the whole point, because people then laugh at you and then it just like lightens the whole mood and everything.
Yeah, it's funny. My cousin, when my sister was out on her last mat leave, she did like an internship for us, right? It was the same summer. It was perfect timing. And she wants to do fashion and she'll run her own business. And she's like, I learned more from you working for you that summer than I had in my entire 4 years of business school. And she's like, and one of the biggest things is like, just say, yikes, do better and move on. Like, and that's it. Cause you got to just like, let it go. You can't let it derail your whole day. You got to just take it and move on.
That's awesome. Yikes. Is that one of your common expressions?
Yeah, I say that so team. I'm like, oh well, okay. Keep going.
Look, you mentioned habits earlier and installing those good habits. Could you say a little more about what those positive habits are?
Yeah. Now, my positive habits today are a lot different. Now, you mean from a working standpoint, correct?
Yeah. So exactly from a working, because you
Day to
said
day.
the three key things that shifted
Yep.
that allowed you when you were with Hobson Associates, habits, what to say, and then making it your own.
Yeah. So I would say what we had, and forgive me, this was like almost 10 years ago, so I don't exactly remember what the key metrics were, but two things that were given out every day was, one, the number of calls you made, and then two, your talk time. Everyone could see that every day. I don't remember if I think eventually we followed like email and stuff because we didn't have anything to track LinkedIn at the time. Yeah. I think we barely had an email tracker, but those are the two big ones, is like how many calls you make in the talk time. So I remember you needed at least 50 calls and you needed 2 hours of talk time. And I was getting to 80 to 100 calls every day. And then I had a lot of talk time, right? And it depended. And obviously that has shifted, right, today. But I did that initially all of the time. And but at the time, we also had to break our day from marketing, so making marketing calls and recruiting calls. So because we were full desk recruiters, so you have to get the business, then you got to close it. So doing the pre-work into, okay, who do I want to call into? Who are some companies that I like? Making those cold calls, and then moving on to the recruiting side. Now, as I think this is like the classic recruiting problem. And I will be the first to admit I am not the best at this. If I have a lot of jobs, I don't make as many marketing calls. Like I just don't. This is our year to change that. But I just don't. I just like have to keep up, as a full-time recruiter. And we also have been like almost 100% referrals for a couple of years now. So we've really leaned into that a lot, probably too much. But at the time we had to do both. So I had really good habits of like, okay, I need to make this many marketing calls a week, and then the rest are recruiting. And I would just like go off and recruiting, and I would even come prepared every day. So at night, when I was home, I would look on LinkedIn, find profiles to call, and then call them the next day. So I would do all these things to kind of prep my day to make sure I got those metrics. And eventually when I got better, obviously that shifted and I had a lot more call time and a lot less calls, right? And even today, like I have a full team, it's completely different than what it was then. And they're fully filling my calendar. Like yesterday I had calls from 8:30 until 5 p.m. Every 30 minutes I had a 30-minute.
That sounds intense.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a big week this week. Like I said, the momentum is building. We're getting a lot of calls. It's awesome. And I was off last week. It's a short week, it's par for the course. Right. But it's different, right? What those habits are today versus then.
That totally makes sense. In fact, so I guess that would be a useful thing to reflect on is like, what does a typical day look like now? And what are the kind of, how do you know when you've had a great day?
Great question. So, and that was, actually speaking of that, that was another thing we were measured on weekly is like send outs and then like, obviously send outs, interviews, placements. You want to ideally get, I forget how many send outs it was. I think it was like 4 or 5. I can't remember. And then you wanted a certain number of interviews. And then if you had a placement, like you can leave on Friday early or something. I can't remember exactly, but today, because of the team I've built, so again, I'm a full desk recruiter. I own the business. And we have a VA in the Philippines. We have my sister, who's really my business partner back end. Like she runs the ship. I'm the face of it and she runs it.
We really need to give a shout out to Amanda because
we need a
she's
whole
kind of
podcast about Amanda.
She is your secret weapon. I think I know there's people in our community or in our coaching program who are jealous that you've got Amanda to
it's so funny that you say that, Mark, because now that you're in Pinnacle, you can talk about different things and like different topics. I'm on the education committee. And they're like, yeah, you can come and bring a topic. And I'm like, everyone wants to hear about RPOs. And like, but what you really should hear is like, find an Amanda. Like that's what the title should be is find an Amanda. And like, this is all I want to teach you guys because it is a complete game changer to our business. And it's funny because I went off on my own, took on this big client and she owned her own yoga studio. So she was an agency and she had done like account management and she's very detail oriented. So she's perfect for the job, but she opened up her own yoga studio and she had a brick and mortar. She had a huge like business in that. And then COVID hit and I know. And then the space was small and obviously we can't see people in person. So we shifted to online, but I needed a lot of help. And I was like, I could use the help. And like, she's one of those like yes mans. So I was like, hey, can you try that? Yeah. Can you do this? Yeah. Can you do this? Yeah. And she like does it better than I ever could. So if anyone if you like professional development books, Rocket Fuel is a perfect description of this. So I am like the visionary and she's the operations person. I can't remember what it's called. Integrator.
Integrator. Yeah.
She's the integrator. So she is the reason our business flows and does what it does. So that's why my business is different today, right? And like taking your trainings, Mark, I think that one thing we took away, because you told us that traction book, which was really good and we're still working through it, is like find your roles and make sure you're doing that role, right? And so like my role, find business, do recruiting. Everything else is Amanda, right? She's like, okay, Amanda, can you help us with the tech? Can you do the finance? Can you put our processes together, the workflow, the email automation? Can you get the campaign started? So she does all of that while I'm just can do what I'm best at, which is being on the phone. And she's really good at all of that. So I think that in today, like my daily desk, I'm just on the phone from 8:30 or 9, whenever I can get on that day until 4:35, depending if I'm getting the kids. And it's because of my team and what she's built that I'm able to do what I'm best at. So we, like I said, we have the VA in the Philippines. We have a VA, a sourcer full-time in the US. We have Amanda. And then we have a contract recruiter who's actually helping us take on some of those initial calls for me so that because I just couldn't handle it all, right? So like she can help with that. So she doesn't have to, we're just getting her into cold calls like, hey, we really want this person. We can't get a hold of them. Emily just simply can't get on the phone. Can you start making these cold calls? So she's getting into that for us now too. So a good week for me now. And we have goals again after coming to your conference. We're like, okay, let's break this down. So every month every quarter, I can't remember exactly. It's like every month, I think we want a new client, or every quarter we want a new client. And we want like, I think it's 8 jobs a month. And because, based off of our numbers, what are we going to hit? So we went the big number, the big goal. We worked our way backwards, chunked it out by quarter and month, and we try to move that forward. Now, when it comes to overall like revenue number and hitting that big goal, or when it comes to send outs, I don't really track that as much, because I'm like, I know that you can have a huge quarter and then the next one could be less. So I try not to put that pressure on myself, because I don't really do well with that extra added pressure. Like when I worked at that big company at Hobson, like I'm so competitive. Sometimes it didn't serve me, right? And we're talking about flow and what feels good. I would just get too up in my head about it. So I'm like, I'm competitive already. Like doesn't feel like we have enough momentum. It doesn't feel like we got enough people interviewing here. Or I don't like the candidates we have. We might have sent 5, but I don't think we have the ones. We need to keep working. So I have like a really good internal DAR on all of that, radar, I guess, on all of that. So, but we do have that big number and we chunk it down and we generally follow it. And Amanda's the one that's like, okay, we kind of need this, or we're lacking in this area. But we're not super nitpicky on like send outs and call time, obviously. It's just like, does it feel right? Do we have enough jobs? Do we have enough candidates on the jobs? And are they the right ones? Because you just don't want butts in seats, because you're not a good recruiter if that's the case.
I need to share something that caught my attention. Recruiter Flow has tracked their customer performance data, and they're seeing clients achieve up to a 30% uplift in average GP per desk after adopting their AI features. Let that sink in. Same team, same market, but 30% more productive because they're leveraging AI to handle the busy work so recruiters can focus on relationship building. Recruiter Flow is an AI-first ATS and CRM purpose-built for recruitment agencies and search firms. One of our clients, Miguel, recently told me he wishes he'd found it sooner because it's transforming his business. And that's exactly why I agreed to partner with them. I'm hearing that kind of feedback consistently from our members who've made the switch. This isn't about working harder, it's about working smarter with the right tools. Book a demo at recruitmentcoach.com/recruiterflow to see if it's right for your business. That's recruitmentcoach.com/recruiterflow. Awesome. It's so great to hear the breakdown of how your business operates, the different roles, and how you've been able to structure your business so you're playing to your strengths, and which is being on the phone, talking to clients, talking to candidates, and then pretty much everything else happens around you. So that's like to support you. So that is phenomenal. I can't have Emily Audibert on the show and not ask about RPO, because that's something you're great at. But you had an interesting, right at the beginning of this conversation, you said you had a bad one.
Yeah. So
what's the difference between a great RPO and a not so good one? And yeah, well, why don't we start with that?
Yeah. So, and I kind of fell into RPOs, right? So it was my way to kind of start my own business. So one of my clients, wanted me to come in full time in-house. And I was like, nah, I want to own my own business one day. So they're like, why don't we do this? Why don't we contract you out? We'll, put something together. And then, because we're doing this huge hiring blitz and we really want you to do it. So I, with the help of my mom, she had done RPOs and in her own practice. She's like, why don't you do an RPO? I'd never heard of one before. I had tried to put something together similarly for another client probably a year prior, but didn't know enough. I didn't know the client well enough, so it didn't work out. But this client I had been working for, this is the good one. For probably a year and a half. And I had really good relationships there. It was a great technology, good people, and I just loved it. So I jumped in. And so I'll talk about what's successful first so we can pivot to what's bad next.
Okay.
What was great about that RPO, I already knew the product, I already knew the team, and we knew how to work together. So we had done it on a contingent basis, on an engaged basis, or retained for some VP searches. So I knew what I was walking into, right, holistically. And they needed hires now. and I was like fully integrated into their system. They made hires. Now we all know we can work things in circles, but are they going to make the hire? Are they going to place the person, right? Like, how much effort are you putting in? Are you getting it back? So that's what went really well. It worked seamlessly. I just acted as if I was a part of their team, and they treated me that way. They really respected my opinion. And it was great. They wanted to make hires. They made them. And it was in 14 months. The contract was to do 28 hires. We did 42. So,
Whoa.
yeah,
That's
it was
amazing.
crazy. It was, I mean, but they were growing, they were hiring, they needed that help. So it was great. And then I had done another one where they also needed the hires. The team was internally was great. It was a different contract at the time. And I actually didn't know them walking into it. I was referred in, and it was good. It ended up being a really good one. Exactly what I needed at that time. Because I was pregnant and it was COVID. So it was I got really lucky.
That's great. Yeah.
And then I hit a couple others. And one of the bad ones that I had was I had actually done I'm working for them before. I know the people. I know what I'm walking into. But what I thought was, okay, an RPO, because it's a monthly, for the way we do it, and everyone can structure it differently, right? We do a monthly fee. It's just a fee, and then a lower percentage of the base salary, but it's a guarantee hire. So because we're in their ATS, we have their email, we have Slack, we have everything. One of my clients gives me a computer separately for it. But because of that, it's a guarantee hire. So whether the person applies, whether it's an internal referral or our find, we get credit for it because we're just working it from beginning to end, doing all the things on it. So that's the RPO. And so we had, the good one is I knew the people, I knew the product, I knew what I was walking into. The bad one, still knew all of that. But when I was working for them on a contingent basis, it was really hard to make hires. I loved the people and I loved the product. But when it was hard to make a hire there. And everyone knows this is the reddest flag of flags. Like, don't stop working for them if you're not
right.
And the thing is we were making enough placements where it was like, oh, we did that. Oh, we did that. And they loved the people that we brought when they made the hire. So it was just enough to keep us there. So my thought going into it was, oh, this is going to get all of the money back that I lost. Wrong.
Uh-oh.
Wrong. Because guess what? It doesn't matter if it's an RPO. If they're still difficult to hire for, it doesn't matter if you're internal. It doesn't matter if you're external. That factor never goes away. So this is like probably anyone listening is like, well, duh, Emily. But at that time I was like, and being in the tech industry, selling an interesting technology is like a hot commodity, right? Like people pick up your call and they're excited about it. That's half the battle, right? So it was, and I loved the people. So it was really hard. And like hindsight 2020, that's when I went to your conference. That's when I was like, I got to fire this client. And we all need these like kick in the butt. You know what? That was dumb. So that's what happened there. So it's an obvious sign, but it was just enough for me to be able to like, oh, I can fight through that, or I can work past that. And sometimes you can't. You don't, like, the work ethic isn't going to change it. Whatever you do isn't going to change that factor.
This is so interesting. Thank you for sharing that, by the way, Emily, because it's really useful to understand the difference, because it would be so tempting, like having a big project like that to work on. First of all, great revenue potential. Secondly, it's fun and you get to like really embed yourself with that firm. You get to know them really well. So there's a lot of pros. And plus, if there's a monthly retainer, then that's fantastic, right? Because it gives you that security and that predictable revenue. But if it's not a good partnership, then it's like an albatross around your neck where it feels like it's weighing you down, right? And you feel like you have to work on it, but you're not getting the ROI on your effort.
And when we were talking about flow too, sorry, I just want to add that in there. We were talking about flow earlier, since it seems to be a little bit of a theme of our talk today. I was so out of flow by the end of it. And it was just like, everything felt like this. Everything felt like a fight. And when you talk about that weight off of your shoulders, like I had to really let that go and do a lot of therapy after, because I started to say, like, I'm bad. I'm not good. This means I'm not a good recruiter. And this means I'm bad at what I do. And that's not true.
It's affecting you.
It was affecting me. And that's not what we want. And like, I think it's a red flag for anybody. If a client is if you're getting that everywhere, like maybe we work on the training or the habits or whatever. But if it's just one client that's making you kind of feel down in the dumps, or a certain person, go get another one. Someone out there is going to love you. And someone out there my mom said this to me when I was terrible and I would just like bash my head against the wall and make cold calls on repeat. She's like, someone needs to hear from you today. And every bad day is followed by a good one. So it's just like kind of getting back out there and like doing it again. Yeah.
Awesome. No, that's fantastic. And so just so we understand the structure, so you had a monthly retainer, and then you gave them a discounted placement fee, but you were getting paid on all the sales hires, or
so we start the contract saying we need a minimum of X amount of hires depending on the period of time. So like the first one I did was 28 for a year. And then I did do year ones for a while, but then I've started to like narrow that down, because like sometimes people just need help for a quarter, and like sometimes they just need their internal recruiter to come in, and then we can work together on a contingent basis after. I've done that so many times. So, I kind of have shifted to be like, oh, it could be 6 months. It could be 4. We can do 3. And if you need more after, we'll just keep it going. And that, again, kind of that flexibility, and that softness really, has bode a lot of people well.
Fantastic. No, I love that. That's cool. Does the retainer fee come off of the invoices, or it's in addition?
It's an addition. Yeah. It's just like, this is what you have to do to retain us in our business, because we're a small firm. Like if I'm putting all of this effort into your team and your companies, I'm not giving it to somebody else. So like, we really need to make sure we're going to be paid and we're going to get what we need to keep moving forward.
Perfect. Do you mind sharing how much you charge on a monthly retainer?
No, not at all. So it's ideally $7,500 a month, and then 18% of their base salary, but it's guaranteed. So like if we work that search, we're getting that placement. And we even say like if we're working that search, like let's say like the 4 months is up, right? And like New York's so hard. New York is still lingering. We'll just say like, you don't have to charge us the monthly retainer to finish New York, but we're going to just finish it at a guarantee basis. So we've done that. And again, I'm very flexible. I tried to be like, these are growing companies, right? You don't want to ever be like too hard, or I should say. So it'll be that. And then it just depend over the period of time. So like we try to do a minimum of 10 hires when we do something like this. And it doesn't have to be, there's no max.
Awesome. And so we should say, I call this a mini RPO. And what I mean by that is you're like doing all of like the sales hires, right? Yeah. You're not recruiting accountants or operations or engineer. Do you do engineers as well? Or
no, I do marketing and sales. And sales. And that could branch out, right? Sales engineer, right? Product marketing, both can be pretty technical.
Yeah.
But no, anything, I call it the go-to-market umbrella.
Go-to-market, yeah. That makes total sense. Wow, Emily, we could keep talking for another hour, but
I would love to.
That was tremendous. Thank you so much. Loved the specificity of the insights you shared, and talking about learnings, mistakes, and in addition to the successes. So thank you so much. That was an awesome interview. And is there anything we haven't talked about that you wanted to share or discuss?
I guess there's one thing. I was talking to my therapist about this yesterday. I love therapy. And one thing that I think is incredible about recruiting, and she was trying to give me some like kudos to this yesterday. Cause one of those days of like, I don't know, I'm not good at anything, or I'm not good at this job. And she was like, you're really trailblazing your career to have everything you want in life, right? So like you have the flexibility to see your kids, you're an entrepreneur, you set your revenue goals that you can like achieve like whatever financial numbers you want to hit, right? And I think that anyone listening, that's the beauty about recruiting. If you're starting out or anything, is like you can make it what you want. And I think don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to be like, oh, this isn't conventional, but I want to do it anyways, right? Like if people were to see my work week, they're like, I can't believe you get as much done as you do, because I've got 3 kids. I still have a workout schedule. I have to end the day at a certain time. And we still hit really big goals. So I feel like you can have your cake and eat it too, in this career. And I think that's one of the things that anyone listening or is in their recruiting career can attest to and see, is like trailblaze it the way that makes most sense for you. And don't think that it's not possible, because it is. And I think that would be the one thing I would want anyone to like leave with, is like, you can do absolutely anything that you set your mind to.
Amazing. Emily, thanks so much. And I'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, can't wait.
Take care.
Thank you.
What really stands out to me about Emily is how clearly she's figured out her role in her own business. One of the secrets to her success is that her sister Amanda handles everything behind the scenes: operations, finance, processes, tech, campaigns, all of it. That frees Emily up to focus on one thing. She is on the phone with clients and candidates from 8:30 in the morning until 4:30 when she picks up the kids. That's the structure behind 1.29 in billings last year. What was your biggest takeaway from this conversation? Drop me a message on LinkedIn or leave a comment on YouTube. I'd love to hear from you. More importantly, what's 1 or 2 things that you're going to put in practice this week based on everything that Emily shared? If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to The Resilient Recruiter so you never miss an episode.